Super BS.
You know, I think I got the shirt color wrong in that video. I feel like you wear black shirts more than I do, but for some reason I gave you a blue shirt.
Because I'm the man in black, man. I don't know. I wear a lot of blue shirts, but anyways, everybody loves to talk about shirts mainly, especially the audio listeners. They love shirt talk.
Oh, all right, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Super BS Gamescast. I am your revered or reviled / despised host.
Mostly despised, mostly reviled.
Mostly,
Yeah.
Yeah. All the above sometimes. That's what my parents always told me growing up. But I'm Jank, otherwise known as Josh Peterson, joined here by this baby boy, young boy, tot boy. I don't know, I'm running out
You've
of
got
adjectives.
all the adjectives for me. I'm a beautiful baby boy. I'm eating my baby boy cereal on this episode because that's what us baby boys eat to get strong and big, okay? Everybody knows that good sugars are going to go into your tummy and help you grow. So I'm definitely that type of baby boy who likes to eat those cereals, and I don't even care what you other large children think because I'm all about being those kids, being that kid life, okay?
So my mom bought me a box of Fruit Loops with marshmallows in them, and I'm like sitting there thinking. I told my mom, like, I don't really eat this stuff anymore. But then I looked at it, I was like, but I'm probably gonna eat this. You know, when mom buys cereal, it's an obligation, especially if it's got marshmallows in it. Like, we can turn that down.
Well, you get those Lucky Charms, man. You're getting those marshmallows that look like the 4-leaf clover. Those are
Dude,
good.
no, they all of our favorite cereals when we were kids, they just put marshmallows in them during the holidays and
Oh, I didn't know that.
sell them for an extra couple bucks. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm also joined here by our good friend Gerald Glassford of the many other podcasts on the internet. What's going on, man?
Boy, man, I think I'm going to New Zealand.
Whoa, down under.
That's
to
right.
That sweet Call of Duty on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And for all your favorite games that you want to play a little bit early, go to New Zealand, or at least your time zone on your Xbox, that is.
And also just buy the flight to go to New Zealand because you have to legally play it there or else they'll arrest you. So you need to go there, okay?
Well, we can do that next month in Flight Simulator when that comes out.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, I want to talk
You're
about games coming out here in a minute. Hey, but you know what's funny? I remember working at Best Buy, and when new games came in, they'd have on the box, right? It said street dates, whatever. This happened especially when Halo 3 came out, and you weren't supposed to sell this game, but people would go back, like employees would go back and buy the games. And I remember Microsoft would like shut down Xbox accounts because they saw people out there playing the Halo 3 on there like a week before it came out. So they take that stuff seriously, man. That's why you got to turn that VPN on. Just
Absolutely.
kidding. We don't endorse that, right?
Well, we
totally endorse that.
There's VPN sponsors. There's free VPNs out there.
We'll just create a VPN on our own, and then we'll sponsor ourselves. Okay, that's how it works. That's how you get the money. You make the money, then you give yourself the money. That's how you get the money. Everybody
BS VPN.
Yeah, we're coming at you live from the moon right now.
We're Moon Boys.
Brought to you by Verizon.
But are we actually there, or did we film it somewhere on a studio?
Who knows?
We're just going to get kicked off YouTube. Trying to get there a little bit quicker. So,
if you guys notice, if you're watching the video, Branky Poo is starting to sweat here because he had to shut off his air conditioner. Is ruining our sweet professional audio quality. And so if he's just covered in sweat at various points in the podcast and cereal, because he's cooling himself off with his cereal, that's why. All right, guys. So I want to know what y'all been playing. Gerald, let's do a little check-in here. You had started Diablo last week. So what's going on in the world of Diablo?
Just a couple of hours in because I had a pretty heavy content week with the start of the NBA. So just a couple hours in for it. Liking what I'm seeing. I'm doing a necromancer. I think that's probably pretty much the basic everybody tries first is the necromancer and goes from there. I don't know how long I'm going to stay with it. It's not hooked me yet, but Doing all right. It's doing all right. But yeah, I don't know with all the other stuff that's coming out. In fact, you've got Blops 6, which is due out. Well, again, if we were in New Zealand, we'd be playing it right now. And then also, you got that next week, you've got a certain game by EA as well coming out.
Uh-oh. It's
the new
definitely not a
Mass
Game of
Effect,
Dragons.
We've all been waiting for that for a long time, and finally they're releasing it.
Black Myth Wukong, I know. I'm so excited, man.
Oh,
I cannot wait for next week.
oh my gosh. All right. Brank, what have you been diving into? I know you have to have been playing something.
I never play games. Everybody knows on this podcast I'm the one who just doesn't play modern new games. No, I've been dunking my time into some Metaphor Refantasio. It's great. I'm probably 10 or 12 hours in. First dungeon's done. I've kind of started. The big plot is opening up. While I've been doing that, I've been gaming on some Persona 3 Reload, which is really good. It's on Game Pass. Came out in January. It's the remake of Persona 3. Metaphor Refantasio is from the original Persona team. They made Persona 5, and then before Royal, they split off and started making Metaphor. That's also really excellent. I think I mentioned it here. I 100%ed Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which was a lot of fun. But again, like I said, it's not a top 5 Zelda. So I've been doing that. I've been wanting to get back into UFO 50. I haven't had time to play that again, even though that I probably only played 20 of the 50 titles, and I just dipped my toes into each of them individually. And then I turned on Plucky Squire when it came out. Haven't got a chance to play that. It's a crazy time. I mean, when we're recording this, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is supposed to launch. Ease 10, which is a JRPG that's really fun, that's supposed to launch. Romancing Saga 2 remake from Square Enix, that's about to launch. And then that's like all today, right?
Hold on,
like next week.
I got a thing. We're gonna get into those sweet new releases in a second because I want to talk briefly about the November end of October November release calendar.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Well, yeah. But anyways, I've mainly been playing just Metaphor and Persona 3 because they are both time heavy games. I'm getting myself ready for some blops. I was about to play Modern Warfare 3, but I forgot I deleted the files off my Xbox because that game is 100 gigabytes with just Black Ops 6. So it's closer to like 200 or 300 if you have all the Modern Warfare games on there.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like you're both going to be playing some Call of Duty. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to play it or not. So
part of Game Pass, bro.
It's on Game Pass.
I know. I might as well. Also, welcome to the show, Rough Artist and Cool Bro.
Welcome. We've been waiting for you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, all right. So I have been playing Visions of Mana. I was telling you I started that last week. I'm about 6 hours in right now. I am digging it. Like it's more. I love that you're not going to a separate battle screen like you did once upon a time. Also, you just you go into battle and a little like golden circle shows up around you. So Visions of Mana is weird to me because it still looks like the JRPGs of yesteryear, but it's got like really nice video work, if that makes sense. Like it still looks old, but it looks new at the same time, and it's kind of like throwing me off a little bit.
Is that a good or a bad thing? The way you're talking about it's really hard to read.
I'm really digging my time, but let me just nitpick this apart first.
I don't know if I like this thing.
It's good. I guess I was expecting that, as it is a PS5 title, I was expecting it to come out.
It's also a PS4 title.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't know that. But yeah, I guess I was expecting it to be a little more like modern looking as opposed. But I mean, I guess that's like Square style for that franchise. So that must, they're sticking to it, which I applaud. Anyways, game's fun. I like this new wave of action RPGs where it's a little less turn based and a little more, a little more action going on. And it's
I like my action RPGs to be turn based predominantly. Okay, I like my turn based RPGs. I'm mostly a fan of action in them, but action RPGs are all turn based specifically. Okay, do not get those mixed up. So.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the old franchises are switching over to that action RPG.
Yeah, I mean, it's the turn-based stuff is really hard to make. I think that's why the Persona series specifically, and even the Like a Dragon series, it's so impressive when it's done well because you're essentially taking time making turns and stuff, doing stuff that people don't want. So what those games are now is they're essentially puzzle games. They're like, this enemy's weak to this does this. In the Like a Dragon, the combat's just really snappy. So even though it's turn-based, it's really fast turn-based stuff, right? And there's even some action in it. But in, Metaphor, one of my favorite things is, yeah, I mean, you could rush through those battles once you know an enemy's weakness. Same with Persona 3 Reload. You're just trying to find that weakness and then like exploit it. So it makes it pretty fun. Makes it pretty fun. Oh, okay. Some Rough Artist spoke up and said that you're playing Dark Souls Remastered. That is a great one. Have you played any of the other Dark Souls games or Elden Ring, Rough Artist? Anyways, we'll wait for that. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Visions of Mana looks great. I did not pick it up. It came out the same day as Star Wars Outlaws. I'm still waiting for both those to go on sale. I'm still trying to decide if one of these new RPGs I'm going to get or if I'm just going to try to stick with Metaphor for the time being.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely gonna finish this game. I still want to go back. I want to play Warhammer Space Marine 2, and I want to play I want to get back going to Wukong, which Wukong is also they're releasing a physical copy, so that's it's calling my name, man. Rough Artist says he has played Demon Souls on PS3.
Yeah, Demon Souls rough. I mean, the PS5 version I think is a little bit easier to play, but I never played the original. It just had a lot of punishing mechanics in it where it's like if you died a lot, the game actually became harder, right? Which in a series where the game's already hard, that's like
that
crazy.
game laughed at you.
Yeah, it was I mean, FromSoft's really
mean.
Yeah. It's a rough game. I liked the PS5 version well enough, but even then it's so difficult because like Dark Souls, I mean, I didn't play 2, but Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, they're pretty generous with like bonfires where you can save and like revive when you get killed. Demon Souls has one bonfire per area. Like you go and you have to, and it will give you like different like shortcuts back, right? Like you'll unlock a lift that will take you back to the bonfire, but there's one. So it's like you're constantly trying to get forward and then unlock stuff so you can yes, I don't know what this I don't know how you're both talking because I don't even know where I can chat. But 2, I don't know why you think I'm sweating. I do sweat a lot, but I'm not sweating today. So anyways.
It's going to be a running joke over the course of the show.
It just should be just off the side of your screen there. It's marked stream, and you just click on that, and then your
okay.
I
see the chat. I don't know how to chat in here.
You have to do it on one of the either the Pop Culture Cosmos YouTube or the Humanican Media YouTube.
Oh, that's right, because he's a guest. Yeah, he has to do it off the YouTube. He has to open up an app. That's right.
I'm going to join this so I can defend myself non-audibly, even though we're on an audio podcast and we're like focused on this thing. Anyways, I apologize.
Oh, you're on video. Is this going on?
Hey,
we're live on Humanican Video.
I don't believe in video. I believe in audio only. But
thank God YouTube doesn't believe and doesn't share that.
YouTube and me, we're one and the same. We both believe the same thing. Are you going to finish Visions of Mana?
Yeah, yes, I will definitely finish it. Honestly, it's all that I've got right now. I'm gonna get
all you have in life.
All I have in life. Yeah, I'm gonna get Ys Nordics when it comes out. Probably not this week, but I'll get it probably.
Are you gonna get it on Switch or PS5?
Yeah, PS5, yeah. Because I mean that's what I'm doing right now. The only time I play video games is right before I turn in for the night, so I'll sit in bed and play some PS5 for a little bit. And
okay.
I feel like Ys Nordics will probably last me until whatever until end of November, early December.
Yeah, man. And you're not going to play any other games coming out, so we don't have to worry about that.
I don't get my Xbox turned on as much as I'd like to these days, so I want to when I have a break from work, I'll probably one of those nice school holidays, I'll sit down and probably play some Xbox.
Before we get into tonight's topics and whatnot, can I give a big shout out to Retro City Games locally here in Las Vegas? They just got in a massive collection. I don't know if you saw it, Josh, because I know you follow them as well. They got it like last week. It just bins after bins after bins from just like history of stuff from previous years. I mean, in like an entire Virtual Boy collection, Game Gears, just whole bunch of stuff from eras, PS2, NES, N64, just a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, if you look on it, there's a whole video that was posted on their Facebook site and Instagram site, Retro City Games. they just got bins and bins of this stuff. I'm like, man, I wanted to get over there and get my hands on some of that Virtual Boy stuff and I'm just, you snooze, you lose. But yeah,
lose.
congrats to them.
Are you trying to get a whole Virtual Boy setup or something, or what are you gonna do?
No, I got some credit there, and I just need to
Okay.
go ahead and cash in on something that I think might be, cool to have.
Yeah, get Apocalypse starring Bruce Willis for the PlayStation 1 by Activision. I'm looking at their Instagram, and that is one of the PS1 games you can buy. So
There
get
you
that.
go.
That's everybody's favorite game is Apocalypse.
Well, I was thinking, Jack Brothers. I know that's the most valuable of the Virtual Boy games. I was thinking about
So the funny thing about, I think it's called Jack Bros. That is the same character, Jack Frost, from the Shin Megami.
Jack Bros.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Shin Megami Tensei character, and how we have like the Persona series. Like that's one of my personas in Persona 3 Reload.
That one is by far and away the most valuable of all the.
I've heard it's the only reason why the Virtual Boy is actually an expensive collection to have, because it's only like 20 games, and I've heard that's the only one that's actually pricey.
It's like the Dragoon game on Sega Saturn. Like that's one of the reasons those Sega Saturn sets are so much, because that one cost, I think it was like $2,400 or something when it last time I checked on eBay.
I have that game, but not with the case. I just have the disc.
Oh yeah, that complete in box, man.
Gotta have that. I wonder if the disc's worth anything. I should get it and sell it. I have literally no use for it, but I doubt that everybody wants to collect these doesn't want just a disc.
No.
I just wanted to play the game, and I had a Sega Saturn, and somebody was selling the loose disc for like $40. So I was like, oh, I'll pick it up.
Yeah. And there are some people you can go online usually and find the reproduction cases.
Yeah, the reproductive parts of the games, they reproduce. So
when two adult games come together,
they make a third game. Okay,
it's a
special type of game.
Usually the threequel is not as good as the first two, but
I love threequels. I love how they're also advertising. There's 2 Dead or Alive games: Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball and Dead or Alive 3 on their Xbox games, because that's what Xbox was known for. Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
Isn't there another one that's like, remember that is like Outlaw Volleyball or something? All it was just like women in bikinis playing volleyball.
I don't know. I don't, man, there's so many crazy games that came out in the PS2 era. But they did have, it does seem like Retro City Games has that one game. I can never remember it, but I want to play. It was the end of the original Xbox's life cycle. And it was from the writer of Ender's Game, I want to say, Orson Scott Card. And
Advent Rising? Is that what you're talking
about? Yes, Advent Rising.
Yes. That was the one they offered $1 million for the winner.
I still have that game. It's on my shelf in the living room.
I've never played it. I always wanted to. I think you can buy it on a Series X still. Like, I think it's one of the games that you can pick up. But it's just so funny because I was so excited for it. And then I got WoW, I want to say, right when it launched, and I never picked it up.
Yeah, Advent Rising, I know Advent, there's another Advent game that was scheduled to come out, but if you look at the characters from Advent Rising, a lot of them look like they're characters from Mass Effect. So I'm curious, like, if there was any connection between, the creation of Advent Rising and Mass Effect.
I think it's the prequel to Mass Effect. I think it's
honestly though, like the villain, like the creatures and the villains in Advent Rising look like what was his name, Sar something or other from Mass Effect.
Saruman.
No,
Saruman.
Garrus's people.
Garrus,
yeah.
Sar.
Okay.
Sar.
What's the Saris is the blue person.
Saren.
Yes, Saren.
Yeah, sorry. And I was about to say Saracen. This is our Friday Night Lights. Okay. Let's go. I want to briefly look at the calendar here for the games coming out. So for the rest of the month, there's a few biggies coming out. We have the Ys Nordics. I know we talked about that for a minute. Either of you plan on playing that one?
I will. I already mentioned it though. Those were the games. Yeah. This is one of the games I'm going to pick up, but I don't know if I'm going to get it right at launch.
Yeah, so this one takes place after Ys 2, so it's like it goes really far back in the timeline.
Do you care about the storyline though of the Ys games, man? I mean, that's not why people play those.
I got really obsessed with this franchise for a while.
Really?
Because I started playing. The first one I played was 7.
8? Oh, no, okay.
7. Wow, yeah, 7. First one I played on 7, and then I was like, where did this character come from? So I went back and I got the Ys 1 and 2 pack on the mobile phone. So I plugged into my.
Are you sure you played 7?
Yeah, is that hold on, let me look at it.
So
On
7 was on the PSP.
yeah.
Oh no, is Lacrimosa or whatever, is that
Oh,
8?
8. Yeah, you played 8. Okay,
Okay.
that's the one I
Yeah.
started with too. That's like the one everybody played because it was like the first one where everyone's like, "Oh, you need to play this." It's an old series, but that's the big one where everyone's like, "Play this now," right? And it was
Yes.
on like Switch and PS5 and Vita and PS4 and yeah, it's good. It's a really fun game.
Also, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We talked about a little bit. That's coming out to tomorrow or today if you're waiting a couple hours, like Gerald over here. Dragon
Gerald.
Age: The Veilguard, is that going to October 31st? Is that a day one pickup for you guys?
I'm waiting for reviews on that.
Yeah, as am I.
Because it's not hitting Games Pass, right? It's just
No, it's a full price. It's an EA title. They don't normally hit Game Pass, but I'm a little bit concerned. I think we discussed it last week or a couple weeks ago whenever we talked about it. It's like the director was notoriously known for saying like they didn't enjoy the Dragon Age games and they came from The Sims was their previous director.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so it's
that's
like
right.
it's one of those things where it's like I think it looked really good when you saw the gameplay trailer, but I mean, so did Star Wars Outlaws, and obviously I didn't pick that up, or else we would have talked about that day one. So it's yeah, it's just there's a lot of good games, too many that I if it's not great, I'm not going to pick it up.
Yeah, because that was I think people were mad at the lack of open world in Dragon Age. So I don't know. I mean, I'll be curious to see how that game comes across.
Is there so do we know if this one's going to be like so Inquisition had like open zones, if you will, right? Like you'd have these huge sprawling environments you could explore, but overall you would look at something from like a table and that's how you go to the different environments. Do we know what this one's going to be? If it's going to be like open or linear or
So they were saying that it's pretty linear, but the areas that you go to are, like you go into the town, you can explore the town, go and there are a lot of places to go, but it's it's more condensed than previous entries have been.
yeah, I mean that's disappointing, right? I feel like that was one of the biggest issues with 2. When I turned on 2, I was like immediately not interested because it was just like a railroaded version of 1 and it was very basic. I was so excited for 2 because I really liked 1. I probably played 30 minutes of 2. I've never touched it again. It's not a game I'll ever turn on again.
Yeah, that was what was the title on that one? Because I know
think
they're
it was just Dragon Age 2.
Okay, yeah, because I know there was Inquisition and
Yes.
Origin.
Yeah, so Origin was the first one. The second one's literally just called Dragon Age 2, and then Dragon Age Inquisition. So naming wise, they've done a great job of just keeping it easy to follow. Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age : Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Dragon Age the Veilguard. 2 is the one that it's like I get it. 2 was a game where it really felt like they just threw it together. They're like, hey, we're dropping this game tomorrow. It was like not even very long after Origins came out.
Yeah.
So I just put it in the chat, the link there. If you want to check out the video, it's about 90 seconds long. It's Doug, again, the owner of Retro City Games. He went to Northern California and made purchased an entire collection. Wow. The tubs that you can get at Home Depot.
Yeah.
For like about $10.
Black and yellow totes.
Yeah, 79 of them.
79. Woo! Wow.
Yeah,
what do you think you have to pay for that many like collectors games? Like, do you think that's like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars? I mean, like, what do you think for that much?
It's probably closer to what, $60,000 to $100,000.
Wow,
I'm assuming.
Crazy. Yeah. Do they itemize each purchase? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Sorry, I know this is like into the weeds of something that none of us have.
I can ask
you. Have some knowledge because obviously you used to run a private game store, but it's like, yeah, it's something where like that's a huge investment, right?
The largest I ever got at the store, because they didn't give collections at that time. Usually just, when somebody would do trade-ins, I did get sometimes an itemized list, but it would be only like, 10, 20 games.
Yeah.
But for something like this, because this is something you're seeing as far as in the reseller market now as a trend in the past year, are people selling off their collections. They're just cashing in because they figure the 2020 super rise of the video game sales has petered out. Yeah. And it's not like crashed or anything, but I think it's now leveled off to a period where people are just saying, you know what, I think it's time for me to cash out, maybe retirement or vacation or, buying a home or whatever. And they're going to, sell their stuff off for 40, 60, 80 grand, 100 grand,
I wish I had $100,000 worth of games I could sell off right now. That would be incredible. But
because I am seeing a number of these YouTube, not just Doug, but YouTube channels that are buying these collections in full. And it's like, I think that is becoming more and more trend that people are just trying to cash out now.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, all I wanted to add on real quick is if these are part of like, there's like a 3 days ago, there was a huge post that Retro City Games did where it was like tons of different consoles and games on Instagram. There's one where they have 5 Wii U's and they have 3 of them are special editions, right? Like a new Super Mario Brothers, a Mario Kart 8 Wii U, and a Splatoon Wii U. And I think like for the people who are interested in those are so rare that I could imagine each one going for at least $100 to $200 over the price of the original Wii U if someone else was trying to collect them. But it really depends on how many people are left. We discussed this last week with, we'll probably get to it today, Concord. But it depends on how many people are holding to collect because they have interest or collecting to sell, right? And so like those Wii U's, I mean, like some of those might not be sold if people have no interest in doing anything other than sales collecting. There's a guy I follow on Instagram who has like the biggest Nintendo collection in the world. He essentially owns a Toys R Us. He's from Australia, and his stuff's impressive, right? It literally reminds me of Toys R Us where I'll have multiple sealed in box copies of N64 games, and you're just like, how did you get these? Are you resealing them yourself? But even if so, it's like the boxes alone are hard to get. And yeah, if that person wanted to sell their collection, it's probably worth $200,000-$300,000. Like if I can find it, I'll try to drop it in the thread. But it's like literally impressive.
You know who has one of the best game collections is the company, the hedge fund company. That bought up all the AA and single A developers. What's the name of
the people that Lord of the Rings?
Yes, the Lord of the Rings. Yes.
The Embracer.
They actually have, and I've seen a video of it. They actually have a massive collection of their own. I don't know if they use that as their, like break, glass, just in case of emergency, but they have a huge one themselves as far as collection for video games are concerned. I don't know why they're keeping it or why they're selling off or not selling off, because they would just rather let their developers die, I guess, instead. But yeah, that I just thought that was like, man, get 100K, send that out to them, see if they like, all that stuff you can get. But for me, it's just something as well. I have such a great affinity for video games, but at some point in time, I like to just get something that comes across that I'd like to say, you know what, I'd like to just have something for my kids and just so I can pass it on to them. And if it gains value, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's just sad that one of the things I can't give them is like an Intellivision or a ColecoVision or an Atari, because it's absolutely worthless. So
yeah,
which is so terrible, because that's what I grew up on. So
yeah, it is. I mean, yeah. Anyways, that we could talk about this for forever. Game collections, it's such a strange thing on what becomes valuable and what isn't. Like Legend of Dragoon Force or whatever, Dragoon Force on Sega Saturn, it wasn't a popular game when it came out. That's why it's so popular now, is because it was a good game that no one bought. And so they didn't make a lot of copies. So now it's crazy valuable and rare,
Rule of Rose on the PlayStation 2. I went, back in my day when I used to run the stores, that used to be every day when I walked in. I still picture it now in my mind, exactly where it was, sitting on the shelf, right behind the counter, on the side, for over a year. No one bought it.
Now it's worth $3,000.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, that's like a
yeah.
So I was gonna say, it's like Ark the Lad on PS1. Like you were able to pick up that triple pack for like $60, and now it's it's $400 for a complete in box copy in decent condition.
I mean, all the Game Boy, all the N64, I literally saw a lot of the stuff going through, or I had it on my shelves, or traded it in, or I had my opportunity to buy a lot of the stuff, and I'm just like, what could have been?
You could have been a billionaire now, Gerald.
I
He
know.
could have
No,
been a
no
billionaire.
prototypes though. No prototypes. None of that outrageous stuff, like Clay Fighter or anything like that. Nintendo World Championships. I never got a hold of anything like that. But man, some of the stuff like $200, $300, $400, $500, $700 that are worth today. It's just like, and I actually back when I was working with the good guys, we had Virtual Boy displays, so we had access to all the Virtual Boy games. It's like,
It's hindsight, man. It's the same thing with Pokemon cards, right? How would you have known when you were a kid they're gonna be, you could sell a Charizard now for what, $200?
what the hell is this Charizard, man? I'm just gonna chuck
Yeah,
that in the
you just
trash. Looks kind of
you
ugly to me.
know,
Yuck.
against the
Oh,
cards and playing
dude.
against your friends, trade them, get
I
them
think
all
I'm gonna go
scratched
and put
up.
this in the spokes of my bike and just go ahead. Yeah, make that sound.
Yeah, I know
I
it's hindsight, man. But yeah, I mean, last thought on Doug here is he does he's got a big enough following and he does a great job of like flipping that product really quick. So I remember he came back from another trip. He had someone had sold him two like truckload or trailer loads of games from somebody that I was either selling them or he got them as like an estate sale or something. But yeah, he sold through a lot of that stuff pretty quick too. So I guess if you're good at selling them and you have the inventory and the money to do it, like it's a pretty profitable business. But if you're just selling them piecemeal one at a time, it's a little bit harder to do that.
Yeah, I mean, now that he bought it though, he's going to be selling them piecemeal. So that's the problem. That's now his burden to bear. So if he spent 60,000, he probably needs to sell 60 to 70% of the stock to be able to recoup his costs, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one hard part when you get into that style of like, hey, I'm going to buy up this thing. But I'm sure Doug knows enough about these games and loves them enough that he probably did the math on what he needs to do.
Oh, for sure. All right, let's get back into the list here. I got October 31st. We have Horizon Zero Dawn remastered. I think we talked about that before. None of us are too keen on that one.
You're buying 10 copies at
10
$100 a
copies,
piece.
man. That's it. And then
knew it.
That
on
Concord of
November,
mine ain't looking so bad now after all, is it?
I'm gonna get back to Concord here in a second. November 7th, we have Mario and Luigi Brothership. I know Branky, you've been excited about that one. You still planning on picking that one up?
I have it pre-ordered, man. I use those because I go digital, boys. I use those like Nintendo coupons or whatever they're called, where you can buy
Josh
them for like
hates you, by the way.
$100. What?
You bought digital.
Oh, Josh, I know Josh hates digital stuff. He
Even
wants us all
my
to have to keep a billion cases in our house.
Even digital codes, man. I want physical copies of them.
So yeah, this they have a deal if you have Nintendo Switch
Go
Online.
to Just Dance, then. By the way, you want a physical copy of a digital code? Buy a copy of Just Dance.
I'm buying every copy of Just Dance.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That's the way it comes now. You buy the box, you open it up,
even on
the
Switch.
Code. Yeah,
even on
my girls, I bought it on Switch 2
That's
years
just
ago.
so funny because Switch, I feel like Switch is the one where people wouldn't be stoked with that, right? Like the other ones, I think people are used to at this point with the disc. Even though discs are so cheap, they should never put it on a code because, like, what are we talking? $1, right, to print the disc?
More expensive paper,
yeah, the Nintendo Switch Online, if you have that, you can get 2 full price games for $100. Then, if you're really slick, you go to Costco and you get $10 off your Nintendo eShop credit. So you're spending $90. So you get 2 games for $90. So you essentially pay $45 for each game. So I got Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and Mario and Luigi Brothership. So I'm pretty excited. Gotta live that cheap life.
Thrifty here. Okay, and then following that later on in the month, we have the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, November 14th. I want to pick that one up. What about you guys?
I do want to pick it up. I will say I watched a very interesting video about it yesterday night that I didn't know, where they had they censored and changed a lot of Dragon Quest 3, weirdly enough. And they did very strange censorships without getting political at all. They hired a consultant company that's kind of well known right now for changing a lot of games. Anyways, it caused a lot of issues. So I don't want to like make that the point of this podcast. But But because of that, they did one of the funniest censorships I think they did was they have like a cleric or priest class in the game, and they got rid of the cross that Akira Toriyama put on their like priest claw, and they put
Of all the
they
things.
they put a pitchfork instead. So it was like
Uh,
really, really, really bizarre. Some of the choices. They got rid of the goblin's lips. They literally removed the lips of one of the characters, which I've heard of that before. People think that's racist or something. And then some of the stuff, it's like I'm not going to die on the hill of like, oh, they covered up some of the female characters more. It's like, okay, who cares? But the other two I thought were pretty silly censorship stuff.
yeah.
Otherwise, the rest is like body type A, body type B. None of that stuff bothers me. I'll still be picking it up. I just thought when I saw a video, I was like, that is really strange that they got rid of the cross and
Waste
put a
of
pitchfork.
resources.
Like it
Yeah.
seems like just like a totally unnecessary censorship. Like I don't even know who's going to be so offended if they saw. I mean, like, does the EMT companies that use that or like something similar, like, do they get picketed? I don't know. It was just I saw that. I was like, that is a really bizarre change. But otherwise, that game looks great. Pretty excited for it.
Yeah, yeah. So then we have Flint, Treasure of Oblivion. I think that was one we talked about. That was like the pirate-ish game, right? That was shown during the summer
one?
gaming. Flint, or is that Flintlock? I don't remember.
Flintlock already came out.
Yeah, that came out a couple
All
months
right.
ago.
Well,
What
moving
is
on.
this
Then
one?
it's
Treasures
called
of Oblivion?
Treasure of Oblivion. I thought
Oh,
that was
you thought it was the other Flintlock game.
the
Okay,
other
yeah,
one.
Flintlock came
Yeah.
out. The reviews were mediocre. I actually was super stoked on it, but the reviews were like, it's not good, so I just never
You
played
ended
it.
up playing it? It was on Games Pass.
No, I
think,
never
right?
played it. Yeah, it came out during the summer, and I want to say I was playing Elden Ring at the time. Like, they were incredibly foolish to release it right around the Elden Ring DLC because it's like, hey, you're trying to do a semi Souls like combat when a Souls game actually comes out. Like, it was a bad timing. I'll probably never get around to it now because the reviews like made it sound so bad that it's like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
On November 14th, we also have the Lego game everybody's been asking for. Everyone was like, give me that sweet, sweet property that we all love and want Lego sets of Horizon.
Oh yeah, everybody. Is it funny to anyone else that they're shoving Horizon down our throats? Like,
What's the catch?
I get the first Horizon sold well, but like, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it was pretty flawed gameplay wise. Like, I got sick of it probably about 50-60% of the way in. There was a lot that I liked, but I really still struggle with the combat. I turned on Forbidden West, which I think you finished, right, Josh?
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah, Forbidden West, beautiful game. One of the most beautiful games I've probably still, like, outside of Hellblade Senua's Saga, probably one of the most beautiful games out there, right? But Horizon Forbidden West is boring. It's not only boring, it's like a weird like meh level of just disinterest. It's so annoying though because it's a beautiful game. Like I want to go see all the vistas, but every time I get into a fight with one of those dinosaurs, I just get over it. I don't enjoy it. Yeah. So anyways, I find it so funny that we are being forced. Like I get that Herman Holst, who was he was the lead creator, I don't know, CEO of Guerrilla Games, is now the president or whatever of Sony Interactive. He took Jim Ryan's role, but I don't know. It's just very strange to me. I would like to see them do something different at this point. I mean, I know they probably want to finish off like a trilogy, and I guess good for them for doing that. But I don't know if I'll buy a Horizon 3. I really did not love 1. I barely beat it, and 2 is something I don't love either.
I'll play a 3 if that, because I think that's supposed to close out the trilogy. But yeah, I'd have zero interest in playing a Lego version of the game. But your comments are right though. Like the combat is very unengaging in the Horizon games. It's very clunky and I guess difficult would be a good word for it.
Yeah, it's I felt like it's a needlessly difficult game. It's like a game. It feels like it should be played like the new Tomb Raider games, which are very forgiving and fun. But instead, it's like, oh, I got to shoot 5 million arrows at this one dinosaur, and then there's so many arrows and so many bow types. Which I get it. Like you don't want just one, but there's too many to the point where like I don't know what I need to kill these guys. Right? Like I don't know which ones I need to have equipped. So it's it's a game where I think the people who really love it, they're gonna love it. There's a lot to it. I still want to get back into it. I even bought the Burning Shores expansion, even though just because it looks so cool, but I don't know if I'll ever get to it. So
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played the expansions for either of them, so I mean, at some point I will get back and do those hopefully. But we're ending November here. November 19th and 20th sees the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. I know Stalker 2 is one that had been planned to be released for a while. It was made by a Ukrainian company, and they kept on
2 years ago, I think, was
2
the
years
original.
Slight
ago, yeah.
distractions, I
Yeah.
think, were going on
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
right. So they're having some difficulty, so it's finally supposed to come out. I hope that it's good. I
I
hope
hope
that all their
Same.
work garners them some great
Looks
ratings and
good.
reviews. Yeah,
Does look good.
It's got a cool little BioShock vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the issue with that one is from all the people who have previewed it, because I listened to a couple of them, it sounds like it's really, really hard. And not that that's like a bad thing. Like games can be difficult. I love FromSoft, but games being like incredibly hard, it just I don't know. There's like a level of shooter where it's like, if you're gonna just punish me over and over and over again, I may not play much of your game because I played a little bit of that. I think it was a Russian-made game, Atomic Heart. It came
Yes.
out
Oh
January of
yeah,
last year.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was
tried to
so
get into
stoked
that
for
one.
that. Yeah, I was so excited for it. It looked so cool, and I played like an hour or two, and it was like, this isn't clicking. This isn't
I
BioShock.
got about 90 minutes in myself, and it was just
Yeah.
like it didn't click with me.
It was a little bit too janky. It looked beautiful, but it was a little bit too janky, and it wasn't very fun. So it was just a hard sell.
Either of you played the Metro games at all?
I tried
The
Last
original,
Light.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I tried the third one. Surprisingly, I didn't play the first one. I think I owned the first two because they were on sale for like $5 on Xbox, like a duo pack, but I never turned them on. I've heard they're great games, but again, it's just Stalker was the original Stalker on PC was always the one that interested me. So Stalker 2 has always been something where it's like that and the Vampire Masquerade's Bloodlines or whatever, the RPG that came out in like 2004. That is the other one where it's like I always wanted to play that game, but I missed it. It's a time and place. So if 2 ever comes out and it's good, I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to if I have an opportunity to play it, I probably will check it out. Other Microsoft Flight Simulator. I played the last one that came out, and it's just a flight simulator. It's not anything that I played it probably for about like 30 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm flying and I can land. Cool.
Oh, have any Rod? I think he made anybody tried Another Crab Treasure. I did. Yeah, it was great. Did you guys play it?
No, my oldest daughter played it on her Xbox and she was telling me about it, but I haven't personally checked it out.
Yeah, it was fun. I would have gotten way further into it, but I had a save glitch on Xbox because it was a Game Pass game at launch where the game like lost about 3 or 4 hours of my progress, like right after I finished the first major boss. Like I'd gone through the castle and then kind of the first like dungeon, if you will. But I really enjoyed what I played. It's just hard to like redo 3 or 4 hours of content for me nowadays, especially when it was like, it was good, but it wasn't like the best thing ever. But I did like it. Did you like it, Rough Artist? You can respond back and I'll read it and reply.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot of like little indie games that have been, pretty fun. I remember stumbling upon Cat Quest, and that one I spent, more time on than I had originally meant to also.
I do want to give a shout out to my co-host Joe Soro. He's financing a game that actually the demo just came out on Steam.
What is it?
A few weeks ago. It's Corrupt Core, COREUPT, Corrupt. I don't think the demo is online anymore, but you can check and see. But the game, I believe, is coming out in the not too distant future. They had a ton of advanced word on it. A lot of people seem to like it. It's his developer, the guy who's actually developing the game. It is a very small crowd that actually is making the game. It is truly indie in every sense of the word, but he's very excited about it. I've been seeing it taking place as far as developing over the course of the past year and a half. He sent me bits and pieces over the course of the past few months. And again, I'm wishing them all the best. The game, again, is coming around the corner. And if you get a chance, go ahead and wish list it out, everyone. If you like your fighting games, you want something new, you might want to sink your teeth into this.
All right,
what's the name of it?
Corrupt. COREUPT.
CORE?
Yes. CORE. Yes. In fact, I We'll go ahead and put the link in the description. It's actually to my other shows that's actually already in the description. But yeah, let me go ahead and I'll
Oh,
put
so
it
it's a
on here.
fighting game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it looks good. The concept art looks good. I haven't been able to. Okay, here's I think a picture of it. Oh, it's a very low res picture. Well, anyways, I'll try to find a video of it when I can. But
Yep.
it looks pretty neat.
Yeah. Core CORE UPT. Got to get the link right here coming up for anybody out there that wants to go ahead and check it out. Yeah, Rough Artist said he already played a little bit of it and he needs to renew games to play more. Yeah, absolutely. Again, the full version, I think, is still a few weeks away. I'm not 100% sure on that. Joe hasn't clarified that yet, but he is hoping that it's going to come out sometime before the end of the year. So
yeah, it has a 2024 release date, and the Steam video or GIF that plays looks really nice.
Well, when it comes out, we could definitely play it and talk about it here on the podcast about video games mostly. Gerald, you had wanted to talk briefly about Yakuza on Amazon Prime. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, my good friend.
Yeah, I wanted to say, because I know you guys were like, I didn't know a comic came out. Yeah, they dropped the first 3 episodes as we're, going on this as far as live today. So the first 3 episodes are now available on Amazon Prime. And I think a lot of people like myself were looking forward, just because in recent years, Yakuza has transformed itself from a game that came out just another RPG, JRPG. People just like, okay, some interest, delves into the world of Yakuza, hard-edged, hardcore. But then they did a complete right turn and made it more fun. They put in characters that you want to follow. In fact, you guys were talking about the pirate game. The best pirate game may be coming out soon as far as the expansion for Yakuza with the Yakuza Pirate. They took it in a completely different direction. That's the TV show I want to see, with the guy with the crazy hair, with the Hawaiian shirt. He finds himself drunk on the beach. Then he finds himself in the middle of this adventure where he's like, going through this town with all sorts of side quests and things of that nature, cool stuff to do. Then all of a sudden he gets involved with this bigger scenario. And then, his close comrade, he's dying, but somehow he's able to still kick ass, and it's like all this crazy stuff going on. That's the Yakuza that I think would resonate with the larger audience. But instead, they're trying to do a bad version of Tokyo Vice. And unfortunately, it's coming across, from what I'm seeing in most of the reviews and the little bit I've seen of it so far, like a bad version of Tokyo Vice.
Yeah, it's very, I haven't watched it. Maybe I will give it a shot. I don't know. I love that series. But it is funny if they miss the comedy in it, right? Because the Like a Dragon series, even though they are about the Yakuza, they are very melodramatic, they're often very lighthearted, and there's just a lot of hope in them. So it seems like they took a grim, dark look at it, like something you would see in the Max Payne movie that came out with Mark Wahlberg, right? Like one of that era of film.
Though, right? Like the original.
No, the originals were still zany. Like you still, if you play the remake today, they still have I can't remember what one of the subquests is, but it has something to do with an inappropriate nature, and it's pretty funny. They're all really, really silly quests and stuff, because it's like a very Japanese game. But yeah.
So part of me wonders, and JSJ, I have not actually seen the Venom movie yet. I have heard that's it's actually getting really, really terrible.
Has it ever gotten good reviews? Really?
No, but it actually,
any of them?
Seeing how low the reviews are actually makes me want to watch it even more. And I don't know if that's weird, but I need to know personally, is it really as bad as they're saying it is?
I've seen both. I have the same feeling I do when I watch the Fast and Furious movie. It's like I watched it and I still don't know why I watched it after I watched it. So
if Vin Diesel was the villain, definitely would check it out immediately.
Family. I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Enjoy that Corona. It's Vince's. Anyways, yeah, the Yakuza series, I don't know. I feel like maybe they didn't know what they wanted to do with it. They just wanted to do something, and maybe they're trying to appease to fans of the old games and missing the mark with the new ones. I don't know, but I'll probably check out a couple episodes. I know also I want to hit on God of War was dead for a while because the showrunner behind Umbrella Academy was the showrunner for God of War, and I guess there's some abuse allegations there. But now one of the Star Trek creators has stepped in to fill those shoes, and he's being so he's going to be the showrunner, and I guess Cory Barlog has stepped into more of like a overseer production role. So hopefully it will be good. I mean, I feel like God of War is probably one of those shows.
We lost the despised one. He was so
Yes.
despised that they didn't want to let him finish up his talk.
There you
about God of
go.
War.
I think we got him back.
Okay. Anyways, I was saying that I feel like God of War is going to have to be one of those shows that has a pretty massive budget if they're going to pull it off correctly.
Same thing as I've always said with Mass Effect. As much as I've pined for a Mass Effect TV show or movie or movies, it would have to be a nice large check before you come out. I have to come to that conclusion that to make something the way you want to in Mass Effect world or the galaxy, you would have to spend a whole ton of cash to do it. So
yeah. JSJ, just a follow up. Yeah, I have heard that Venom is supposed to lead into a Secret Wars movie. And also I heard he's supposed to be teaming up with Tom Holland in some fashion to fight Null at some point.
He said this is the last solo Venom movie. And he said he was done with the character supposedly, but all know what that means. That means you're going to see him again at some point in time.
Oh, for sure. Okay, real quick before we move on to our horror games, I want to do a Concord check-in. Gerald, here is the today's high for the sale of Concord is $49.99. So it's still holding in there. It's about $10 above what it once was.
I'm in it for the long haul, guys. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could only go up from here, so they say. Okay, guys, let's talk horror games here. I know this is kind of the topic we're going to hit hard tonight.
I like how we're getting to it at the end of the show, but we'll have enough time, I think.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Okay, so I guess we should clarify whether the game actually scares us or gives us anxiety, but I guess it's kind of both for me. Let me start with you, Gerald. What games have you played that have been absolutely terrifying to you?
Well, first off, when I was a kid and I got the 2600, I want to give a big shout out to Haunted House, which was the first horror game ever for all intents and purposes, the one that was trying to scare you. But the images, the light, the things that they did that time, as limited as they could do, it didn't scare me. But just to give that type of, you let your when you play that type of game back then, you let your imagination run wild as far as what you're really thinking is going on in the game when you play it. But getting back into more modern times, I know we could all say Dead Space, some of the other, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, but I'm going to give a shout out to BioShock. And I did get the remastered trilogy I got sitting, but I really think that provides a dark horror atmosphere as far as at least number one. Number two, you could take it or leave it. Number three, it is a completely different animal altogether. But number one really, I think, puts in such a horror movie. I found it at times more daunting and more jump scaring than Resident Evil may have been in its latter stages of its career so far, because it's got, Resident Evil, as you know, has gone more mainstream, and in doing so has become less horror, I believe, in doing so.
Yeah. I mean, and with the Resident Evil games, and much like with the remake of Dead Space, the more, I guess, up-res they look, the less scary they become, because you're able to see things a lot more clearer than you once could.
Yep.
All right, Branky, what do you got?
The horroriest games of all times. I would say one of the things that I think of as like the pinnacle of horror in gaming is the Resident Evil Village second. I don't even know what you want to call it, like the marionette portion of the game.
Is that the one that I got scared of? With
that's the one that you didn't finish.
Oh my gosh!
That is, I think, truly is is one of the scariest games I've ever played, is just that portion of Village. I think the first portion with Lady Demetresque is scary and has moments of like jump scares or whatever, and it's frightening or tense, but only that marionette, and specifically, without spoiling anything, the baby, which when you get there you'll know what I'm talking about, is so intensely, just gut-wrenchingly makes you feel. I played it in the middle of the day with the sound off just so I could get through that portion because it was so terrifying for me. That is honestly, when I think of games that do horror well, that's the pinnacle. Are we going around doing one at a time, or you want to do? You want to?
Let me just put in something with Village. While it didn't scare me,
even the second part didn't scare you. What I'm talking about?
The
with
detail,
that character who chased you.
I will say that is some of the most impressive facial detail. And I said this at the time it came out, Josh. I think you and I, the detail in the facial animations and design is some of the best I had seen at that point in time, and still holds up extremely well today.
Yeah, I mean, Capcom is on another level.
Game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, just to piggyback on what you were saying, yeah, I shut the game off when at that point in it. And I would really like to go back at some point. Part of me wishes I still lived in California so I could just have, Brank come over and finish that part for me. But
come over as a tough boy, come over there with my sleeves rolled up, turn on that controller, I'd game through it.
Take care of business. Yeah. It was terrifying. And the stuff with like Lady D was originally, it was scary and like a little bit nerve wracking, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's very tense. That's the main thing. It's not like super frightening, but it's like, oh, is she going to be here? Is she going to walk around this corner? Do I need to run? It's essentially like the Nemesis from, I think Nemesis is 3, or Mr. X from 2, right? Where I will say, like in 2, I got more annoyed with Mr. X than anything else. There is something still a little frightening of like when you hear them coming around the corner and you're like, oh my goodness, I got to run. It's just like if it happens too much, like in 2, which was way worse than Lady Demetresque, then it's just more like, oh, I'm annoyed because now I know I have to run around the whole building to get rid of this guy.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, she kind of got on my nerves a little bit too because she did keep killing me. It was Resident Evil. The Resident Evil 2 remake was tough too because there's that part where you're stuck in that room with Mr. X and you have to put like a code in against the far wall.
I think you're talking about the library. That's the one that's the hardest because it takes the longest and he's pretty much in the room with you the entire time. Yeah. And you have to keep running around and climbing up ladders and going around this thing and trying to get him to chase you up there. I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one, that was incredibly frustrating. It wasn't so much scary as it was just like frustrating because once you get killed, it takes back on the Xbox One, it took a good 2 to 3 minutes to load back into the game, and so you're just wasting all this time dying over and over again.
It's crazy how long the load times were. I mean, we're talking about horror. That's probably the scariest thing ever, right? Those load times on the last generation of consoles was atrocious, right? Yeah. I mean, it was really Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima that loaded so quick where I was like, man, games need to be like this. This is actually good. But sorry, I didn't mean to derail. When you reminded me of like how bad it was just every time you loaded up. If you played Grand Theft Auto 5 on 360 or Xbox One, it would sometimes take up to, I feel like, almost 5 minutes to load into multiplayer. It was crazy. Crazy.
We're so spoiled now, but I mean, yeah, those load times were crazy. Yeah, I remember, Brian, you used to not play games based on whether or not the standby system on the Xbox One, whether or not you like loaded right back into them. That was always a big complaint for you.
I never finished Mass Effect 3 because of the stupid 2 discs. Well, a couple reasons, but the 2 discs were one of them, right? The fact that they put the side quests on the disc 2 and they put the main quest on disc 1, but they also didn't even separate it that simply. So you'd have to go switch the discs each time. And this was already after the fact that they didn't keep my face from Mass Effect 1. I had kept that face from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2, and then they remove it in 3. So I'm like, this is my Shepard, and you got rid of him. I've never finished Mass Effect 3. So crazy considering Mass Effect 1 and 2 when those games came out. Those were my top 5. Those were easily my Elden Ring, Tears of the Kingdom of that time, right? Now I think because I have such a bad history of Mass Effect 3, I don't even think that series is like in my top 5 anymore, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, go
One
ahead.
game ruins it all, man.
That
All
is
right,
all it takes, and I've heard the ending's really bad, and I don't even know if I'll get there ever. So
one day I want to go back and play them. I mean, I have the Legendary Edition here, so
I do on my Steam Deck and my Xbox. Stupidly, I paid full price on Xbox. I saw it for $5 years later. I'm like, man, what am I doing? I never even turned it on. I should have just waited for $5.
Yeah, and JSJ, yes, Mass Effect is goated, but it's
You know what? Not that I could say anything, but I kind of like it myself as my.
No, Gerald hates it. He had the same problem where he made the face with the one guy, and they didn't let him use his face, so he never played 3. And
That's
then he hated the
Andromeda.
second. What?
Andromeda that came out though.
Yeah, that was funny. I just also, who designed the idea of like, hey, we're gonna make it on 2 discs, and we're not gonna use all of the like. Why don't they split it in the middle of the game or something? Like, why didn't they do?
I was gonna say which ending? Red ending? Blue ending?
I mean, I didn't even get to the ending. I did like a side quest where it was like an X-Men style side quest early on. I think it was like because I had a lot of the content by the time I turned it on. And because of that, that was a disc 2 side quest. So I had to like go switch the disc out. And then when I was done and I wanted to go back to the game, you had to switch to disc 1 again. Yeah. It's just like ideas where you're like, why? I mean, I'm sure the Legendary collection probably fixes all of this, I would imagine, since it's all like digital and there's no disc switching. But it is just at the time, I still didn't understand because what was it? A year later, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out and they did the thing where you just put one disc in to load the entire game and then, or to save the game on your hard drive, and the other disc is just for playing. And it made so much more sense.
This is something we should ask next week because JSJ has got right on there with Mass Effect will continue because that is supposedly, I mean, they had the teaser for it years ago. And I'm sure they're going to tease you again in here, 3 weeks with and November 7th. They always do something just to tease you. But something we should ask next week because of Dragon Age coming out next week is what's the future for BioWare if Dragon Age does not sell? If it does.
Empire 2.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I would love Jade Empire 2, man. That would be Jade Empire 1. That's what made me a BioWare fan. Right? Like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, I picked up. I thought it was cool, but I didn't get very far in because it was really difficult. But Jade Empire was an action RPG, right? So it was like a game that I could get behind. And honestly, it was totally new at that time. There was nothing like it. I didn't really know much about Chinese culture. It's such a cool game, man. But anyways, Jade Empire 2 be rule.
All right. I mean, do you have any other scary games you want to shotgun out here, Branky?
I would say Dead Space remake is phenomenal. I played that last January. It's so insane. It's great. All of the Resident Evil remakes, right? 2, 3, 4, they're all great. Every single one of them should be played. I haven't played Silent Hill 2 remake myself. I think that one's probably phenomenal. Otherwise, like, you know which ones that I would like to play that I haven't are like, is Eternal Darkness? Is that the GameCube one that I'll probably never get the chance to play again?
That's really valuable. Yes.
Yeah. Like those are the games where those are the games that I think are really, really great for this spooky time. Real quick, just because I got to answer the chat. They were talking about the best way to play them. Yeah, get the Legendary Edition. You can find it for $5. Literally. I think I've seen it for as low as $5. It's often on sale on Steam for $15 if you have a Steam Deck. Play it there.
And Josh and I originally were gushing all over it when it came out. I still have.
I liked it. I mean, I haven't finished it, but we
were gushing. We loved it when it came out.
Yeah. I played 5 hours. I shouldn't have bought it. I knew I wouldn't have played it. I even was talking with Josh. I'm like, I know I shouldn't buy this. I know I won't get to it. Not because it's bad. It's a great series, right? I just didn't have time.
It is on Game Pass. Yes,
yeah, it's on Game Pass too. So it's like, you've got a lot of options. But if you want to own a copy, just in case your Game Pass expires, next time it's like $5 or $10 or $15. I mean, even if it's 15, it's 3 games for $5 each. And
it's well over 100 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on Amazon it's like $10 right now, or $10 to $15, somewhere around there. So shoot, Gerald, did I already asked you your horror games, right? So For me, the Resident Evil games have always been more or less nerve-wracking. There's, like I said, there's a difference between the ones that give me anxiety and the ones that scare me.
Silent Hill 2 is, just came out, and that got pretty solid reviews.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 was,
the remake, of course, remaster, whatever.
I haven't played the remake, but yeah, I wish Mass Effect was on Switch too. That'd be cool. I don't know if I'd go back and play it, but it'd be nice to be able to play it handheld because some of us don't have a Steam Deck like our friend Brank over here.
You should buy one. Buy one.
I do remember playing the original Silent Hill on PlayStation, and that was pretty scary. There are parts of Parasite Eve that scared me. A lot of like the early PlayStation 1 games were kind of scary, but if you were to go back and remake them, like they probably wouldn't be that scary anymore. Because Resident Evil was one where you could like hear the zombies going, and you never knew where they were coming from, but also you weren't that scared of them because you were constantly worried about running out of ammunition for your gun. So it had a different effect, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I would say the scariest game I've ever played is Alan Wake, because that was one where it was dark, completely dark through the entire game. You have these shadow creatures, you hear their voices coming from all around you. You don't know where they're coming from. They don't take like full physical form of anything. They're just, black shadows, and they come out of nowhere, and it's terrifying. So I would say like that game was truly scary, but it wasn't scary enough to make me turn it off like Resident Evil Village was.
Yeah, real quick, there's a very big discussion that's going on. JSJ, it is a very large game, but if you remember, the Switch can't even handle 1080p for the most part. So you drop that to 720p, those file sizes are going to be probably 50 gigs, and they have, 1 terabyte SSDs not SSDs, sorry, SD cards for Switch for like $100. So they could put it on there if they want. It would run terribly, so it shouldn't be on Switch. Yeah. But Switch 2 will get it. Yeah, but anyways, back to what you were saying. Yeah, there's a lot of really great scary games. Doom 3.
Yeah, it's never worried about something running right on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, they don't care about that stuff. EA is a weird one. I'm curious what the third-party output's going to look like for Switch 2, right? Because I have a feeling like all the third parties will jump back in because Switch was such a huge, massive seller, and they probably realize like, hey, if they can get in there early, they'll probably get early adopters. But I'm curious what it's going to be, because I think the Switch 2 is going to be about as powerful as an Xbox One, PS4, right? Like
PS4, they're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so because the Switch was like Xbox 360, PS3 to like kind of beginning Xbox One, PS4. So I think the rumor is the Switch is going to be like end PS4 life cycle, right? Like it will run hopefully Elden Ring, all those games. But I mean, really, we'll know a lot more when it gets launched and like what the price point is. If it's $200 to $300, don't expect it to run anything past Elden Ring, right? Which like a Steam Deck has been able to run for 2 years now. So if it can't run like Elden Ring, that's wild. You can get a Steam Deck for $250. So
yeah, well, majority of the Switch titles, especially from Nintendo, the first party games they're not graphics heavy, so
you're just really good with art style and art direction.
Yeah, and I think like these third party, the second third party games coming out on the Switch are more just like, hey, let's see if we can do it. But sometimes it doesn't get pulled out. The Hogwarts Legacy game looked really good, but I think that was pretty much the most impressive one I've seen.
Yeah, I think Hogwarts Legacy doesn't run great on Series X, so I don't know how it's doing on Switch. I've heard it's good for a Switch game, but I think the Switch is long in the tooth at this point, right? Like Echoes of Wisdom had a lot of performance issues. I watched a side-by-side of Ys 10 on Steam Deck and Switch, and it was noticeably running worse between frame rate and just resolution. Switch 2 needs to happen. I'm one of those people who should be eating a shoe right now. I think I said on this podcast that we didn't know about Switch 2 by now because they did the same thing for the original Switch. It was like an October trailer, and they didn't do their September Direct, and there's just so many bizarre un-Nintendo things going on. So, yeah, I agree with you, JSJ. I actually played like 30, 40 hours, enjoyed it, but it's not a great game. It's kind of like a basic Ubisoft game.
Well, the developer that ported Hogwarts Legacy to the Switch, and which is probably it did such a good job of that. It's one of the main reasons why it was the best-selling video game last year. But they're also the same company that ported Mortal Kombat to.
Wow, really? Is it blind
It's
squirrel
a
or who is it?
redemption story, man.
Yeah, but Melinda and I on the Cosmos covered that. We had such a good laugh over that one because that one is.
Oh, Portkey. No, Portkey. Did
They
Portkey
made the
do
game,
it?
right? I think.
No. Yeah, Portkey made it. It's always hard to find who did the ports. You know.
But I believe from the story, if I remember correctly, off memory, that it was the same company that did both. And successful one, not
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good for them, man. I mean, come back from messing up a game like Mortal Kombat and you can nail it with Hogwarts Legacy. That's so like I said, good redemption arc, man.
Aren't you a big Harry Potter fan, Josh?
Yeah. Heck yeah, I am.
Why didn't you play it then? I mean, I don't really care about Harry Potter at all. I just wanted a game when it came out, and that was the big one. So,
But now with the PS5 Pro, you can get extra shine.
Windows, man.
Yeah.
No, I play. I think I played probably 4 or 5 hours of it, and then I ended up trading it because I needed to.
I just what my big deal about it was because I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter, but
same.
I wanted the full experience. I wanted because the Quidditch game came out, the Quidditch game, the Quidditch game came out later on. Why couldn't they have just added that in for the full Harry Potter experience? That's something I would have liked. If I do get a Harry Potter game, that's what I want. So I want the full Hogwarts Quidditch, the whole experience, and not just have to buy one game for it and then buy another game to get another part of it.
It is funny because like games when we were younger would have so many mini games that were actually like big things. Like you think about Blitzball for Final Fantasy X, or the only series that does it well nowadays is the Like a Dragon series. They have like a full Mario Kart mini games and all this other stuff.
Pirate Yakuza.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. And but it is funny to think like most game companies don't do that anymore because Hogwarts is a game where it's like, oh, they actually have a fully fleshed out sport in their world that people would probably want to play, but they're never going to have that because it requires double the development time. Instead, they made a game that, in my opinion, it's okay. It's like a Ubisoft game. It is totally, to me, like the same as all the Assassin's Creeds and all the other ones. It's a pretty basic game with lots of little things to do.
But the license is what people were clamoring for it, and if it was okay, that's all they needed. That's all. It's
still the top. It was in the top 10 selling games this last month.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how crazy of a license it is, right? Like I think where was it? So like Astrobot, I want to say was 2, Echoes of Wisdom was 4, Hogwarts Legacy was 8. That game is a February game from last year.
So if anybody asks out there, if anybody asks out there why they're making rebooting the TV show and all that, making a TV series out of it, I think you just answered that question, Brank.
For me, it's not my thing, but it's crazy. The people that are into it, I remember them because I was old enough when the last book came out that I had friends who went to the midnight launch or whatever. It's like a fandom that I don't totally get, but it was cool. Everybody was interested in a book, in 2005 or 2004 or whenever the last Harry Potter book came out.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any closing thoughts here? Are we
go spook yourself? Just everyone go and get yourself spooked.
Yeah. What do you guys recommend to scare our listeners here this Hallows Eve?
Concord?
Yes, go play Concord. No, I mean, like I said, if you haven't played the Resident Evil remakes, or oh boy, I mentioned Village, but I forgot to mention probably the scariest Resident Evil. I think it's because I kind of try to put it out of my brain is 7.
Terrifying.
7 is way scarier than any of the other ones. Like Village has that one moment that is probably the scariest moment in any Resident Evil game, but 7 is pretty much 4 hours of that, and then 3 hours that are less scary, more annoying. But there are 4 hours that are just terrifying and dark. That is like it mixes like, I don't know, like a Saw with like just the Hills Have Eyes, but not the dumb jokey one, like an actual scary Hills Have Eyes. It's just like something gross and creepy and disgusting about it. It's really, really dark. So if you want to get your spooks on, you can do that. Also, if you want to have a light Halloween, play whatever that old PlayStation 1 game is that they remade, Medieval, right? Or play a Costume Quest. Costume Quest by what is
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, the Tim Schafer's
Yes.
community. It's Tim Schafer's development company called the one that Microsoft bought. Double Fine. Yeah.
Yes,
So
Double
he
Fine,
made Costume Quest and Costume Quest 2. Those are both really silly, fun RPGs.
Little Nightmares is good.
Little Nightmares. They've got a lot of like really good things. That being said, Inside, if you want like a 2-hour just unsettling game, play Inside, right? Like it doesn't even start that unsettling, but it gets unsettling real quick. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really fun fall games. It is. I find it funny that Dragon Age, the Veilguard's releasing on Halloween because it does not feel like a Halloween game in any imagination or way. I don't even know why they decided the 31st, truly, unless we get it and they find out it's like an actual horror game.
Or it's horrible.
Oh man, you say that, but I have a lot of friends who think it's gonna be horrible. Like, I have a buddy who works at a video game studio, and we discussed it for like an hour last week. And he was like, "Here's the reason why it's not doing good. No one's gonna buy it. Here's this." And he went through it with me. He's like, "Yeah, if you look at the YouTube watches comparatively to Inquisition, it's not doing very good, and they've been paying for advertisement. So it's not that makes a game good or bad." But I will say it's going to be an uphill battle. This game was rebooted 2 times. It took 10 years to make it, right? And it's not like it's some like mass. I mean, it's probably gonna be a big game, but it's not like a massive game. It was like it just because they kept remaking it. So I'm still reading that Jason Schreier book, and when you read about like how troubled game development can get, it really blows your mind.
Yeah, well, and BioWare doesn't need any more bad publicity. Like we all, as we talked about, we all want a new Mass Effect game, but part of me thinks that the success or failure of Dragon Age, the Veilguard, is going to really determine how that Mass Effect game comes out and how much resources are going to be poured into it.
I mean, real talk though, do we all want a new Mass Effect game? Like, I don't.
You
want one?
Yeah.
I mean, Andromeda was bad. Andromeda wasn't a good game. Like, it wasn't the worst game ever, but it's not a great game. Like, I had fun, like, dipping around in it and playing for a little bit here and there, but it's not good.
If they go back to Shepard, that's what I want.
Okay. Hot take here. I would have played a sequel to Andromeda, because I invested so much time into that game that by the end of it, I was like, I probably would have played I'll probably play a sequel if it comes out. But then
I got a nice jacket on clearance at GameStop that was Andromeda.
Good. That's what we're about. We're a clothing podcast about clothes you can buy from GameStop. Okay, our favorite company.
I'll just add in, since you can't play Rule of Rose, which I mentioned earlier, which is like hundreds of dollars.
And
yeah, exactly. I want to go ahead and mention the Condemned series from way back.
Ooh, yeah, 360 launch title.
Yeah. So if and Condemned 2. So if you're interested, that probably isn't going to be very expensive. Let me go ahead and look at the value on that as far as I don't think they are very expensive. So yeah, but and then Limbo. You mentioned Playdead's second game.
Yep.
Yeah. Limbo was the game that started it all for them. So yeah,
it's funny whenever I see a game like Rule of Rose, which funny, it's an Atlas game. It always reminds me of this. I think it was made by Capcom. This Roman gladiator game they released. I cannot remember the name of it, but I always wanted to pick it up. It's a PS2 title, and it was a Capcom Gladiator title, and it's like, it's so weird. They had the Shadow of Rome, and I never played it, and I always wanted to. And I did play a lot of Gladius, like a turn-based RPG that came out on both Xbox. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I also had like 4-player co-op, which was crazy. But Shadow of Rome was a game I always wanted to play, and I just never played it. And it just reminded me of all those that time, right, when you see the Rule of Rose and stuff.
So there was a gladiator game. Maybe it was Shadow of Rome, but you trained up your own gladiator, and you could take your save file over to like your friend's house, and you could have
Gladius.
Is that what that is?
That's Gladius. Yeah, and you could fight your friends, right? They could have their own gladiators, and you could have your own gladiators.
Yeah, because I remember playing, our buddy Jesse. I remember he bought the game too, so me and him would always have, gladiator battles. So that was cool.
And one last shout out: Epic Game Store will be, if you're listening to this recently, they're going to be in the not too distant future. Keep your eye out. Ghostwire Tokyo will be free on Epic Game Store for a limited.
Nice. Yeah, they have free games. I think multiple free games every month now. Like
Yeah.
I don't it's kind of hard to get Epic games on Steam Deck, so I just don't really download them. But for a while there, I was just collecting them because they were free. You just literally had to log in and click collect. Amazon does something similar as well. I mean, if you're a PC gamer and you can be store agnostic, you could never buy a game again and you'd have plenty to play permanently.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's we're gonna call it for the night here. We will be back hopefully on we're looking to nail down Mondays from now on. So if you're checking out the stream, yeah, so maybe around 6-ish Pacific time. So
we'll see you, Ref Artist and JSJ. We're looking for you there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Super BS Gamescast, a podcast about video games mostly. Sometimes we talk about clothing sales at GameStop too.
That's our main thing.
Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Super BS.